The global demand for energy is soaring at an unprecedented pace. By 2050, energy consumption is projected to surge nearly 50% compared to 2020, fueled by economic and population growth, as well as the increasing energy needs of AI-driven data centers. Addressing this monumental demand calls for innovative and sustainable solutions, especially as achieving net zero greenhouse gas emissions by mid-century becomes a critical global priority to mitigate climate change. Renewable energy sources, including solar, wind, hydropower, geothermal, and biomass, provide sustainable alternatives to fossil fuels by utilizing naturally replenished resources, helping to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and support environmental conservation. Nuclear energy has seen a resurgence in interest, particularly with the advent of Small Modular Reactors, or SMRs, which are touted as a groundbreaking advancement in carbon-free energy production. Tech giants, including Microsoft, Google, and Amazon, are investing in SMR research to meet the ever-growing energy demands of their AI-driven data centers. Proponents of SMR technology emphasize their enhanced safety features, operational flexibility, and improved efficiency over traditional nuclear reactors. However, persistent concerns about radioactive waste management and potential environmental risks continue to fuel debates about the place of nuclear power in the global transition to sustainable energy. This episode kicks off part 1 of our 2-part series on sustainable energy, where we will dive into the benefits and challenges of nuclear energy. Join me as we uncover how nuclear power can address the world's growing energy demands while weighing its profound effects on people and the environment. For me, the question of nuclear energy's viability is deeply personal. My thyroid cancer diagnosis in 2010 was a life-changing moment that heightened my awareness of radiation's effects on human health and the environment. While a complete thyroidectomy and follow-up treatments restored my health, the oncologist's inquiry into potential radiation exposure sparked a deeper reflection in me on its risks and broader implications. Building on this reflection, let us dive deeper into nuclear energy, a power source with remarkable efficiency, yet complex trade-offs. At its core lies nuclear fission, a process where a single uranium pellet, no larger than a fingertip, can produce as much energy as a ton of coal, 150 gallons of oil, or 17,000 cubic feet of natural gas. This energy density underlines the potential of nuclear power. However, understanding its role requires a careful examination of its benefits and challenges. On the positive side, nuclear power generates no greenhouse gases during operation, positioning it as a vital low-carbon energy source. It also reduces the need for mining and transportation of fuel and provides a consistent power supply independent of weather conditions. However, nuclear energy faces significant challenges. Nuclear plants generate radioactive waste that remains hazardous for millennia, requiring secure disposal. Uranium, the essential fuel, is a finite resource, with the Nuclear Energy Agency estimating that economically viable uranium reserves could sustain current reactor consumption for roughly 200 years. Also, the construction and upkeep of nuclear power plants demand substantial financial investment, raising concerns about the long-term sustainability and economic viability of nuclear energy. Across the globe, several nuclear disasters have left lasting scars on both human health and the environment. The story begins in September 1957 with the Kyshtym disaster in the former Soviet Union. A waste storage tank exploded, unleashing a cloud of radioactive particles that forced the evacuation of about 10,000 people. This incident, while severe, was only the beginning of a series of catastrophic events that would unfold in the coming decades. Just 1 month later, in October 1957, the United Kingdom faced its own nuclear crisis. A fire broke out in the core of Windscale, renamed Sellafield in 1981, which was the country's first nuclear reactor. The blaze released radioactive contamination that spread across the UK and into Europe, resulting in approximately 240 cancer cases from the fallout. This incident underscored the far-reaching consequences of nuclear accidents and set the stage for even more devastating events. In March 1979, the United States would experience its own brush with disaster. The 3 Mile Island incident saw a partial reactor meltdown that released radioactive gases into the atmosphere. The event led to the evacuation of roughly 140,000 people. And while studies on its health impacts remain debated, some suggest an increase in cancer rates in the affected region. This incident sent shockwaves through the nuclear energy community, highlighting the vulnerabilities inherent in nuclear power. Just months later, in July 1979, another disaster unfolded in New Mexico. A failed dam at Church Rock released thousands of tons of radioactive waste from an underground mine into the Pureco River. The contamination spread up to 80 miles downstream, affecting the Navajo Nation. However, this disaster received little media attention, and the residents impacted by the toxic spill were left to deal with its long-term effects largely in isolation. The most devastating nuclear catastrophe came in April 1986, when the Chernobyl disaster struck in the former Soviet Union. An explosion at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant released massive amounts of radiation, spreading contamination across Europe. Roughly 350,000 people were evacuated, and the region surrounding the plant, now known as the Chernobyl exclusion zone, remains uninhabitable for thousands of years. The health consequences continue to unfold, with people living near the site suffering from ongoing cancer and other radiation-related diseases. Following the Chernobyl disaster, Japan faced its own nuclear crisis in September 1999. At the Tokai Miura plant, improper handling of nuclear materials exposed workers to dangerously high radiation levels. The incident resulted in 2 deaths and multiple injuries, underscoring the critical importance of strict safety measures in the nuclear industry. The most recent disaster occurred in March 2011, when the Fukushima Daiichi plant in Japan was struck by an earthquake and tsunami. The natural disasters triggered a catastrophic failure at the plant, leading to significant radioactive releases. Over 150,000 people were evacuated from the area, and the environment remains deeply affected by radiation to this day. These events, each one tragic in its own right, underscore the critical importance of stringent safety protocols in nuclear energy. Small Modular Reactors, or SMRs. While the catastrophic consequences of past nuclear disasters have raised concerns about the safety of nuclear energy, there is a renewed interest in nuclear power, particularly in SMRs, as a way to address both energy demands and climate change. The appeal of SMRs lies in their smaller, factory-assembled modular design, offering benefits such as cost effectiveness, faster construction, flexible deployment, efficient space utilization, and the potential for enhanced safety compared to traditional nuclear reactors. However, research from Stanford University and the University of British Columbia casts doubt on the effectiveness of SMRs, revealing that they generate 2 to 30 times more nuclear waste per unit of energy than conventional reactors. The increased waste is largely due to higher neutron leakage from the smaller reactors, leading to greater radioactive activation of surrounding materials like steel and concrete. SMRs use complex fuels and coolants, further complicating waste disposal and potentially driving up treatment costs. With no permanent geological repository in the US, nuclear waste continues to accumulate at reactor sites, and communities hosting SMRs could bear the long-term storage burden in the absence of a centralized disposal solution. This raises serious concerns about waste management and environmental impact. Additionally, SMRs face transportation challenges, requiring new regulations to ensure the safe movement of reactors and fuel. While SMRs are designed with passive safety features, they are not immune to failure during extreme events like earthquakes, wildfires, or floods, especially in densely populated areas where they could also be vulnerable to sabotage. If not carefully managed, the nuclear energy powering the AI could pose significant risks to human health and the environment, with consequences that may persist long after the technological advancements AI enables. Radiation-resistant fungus. Interestingly, nature has found its own way to respond to radiation. Recently, scientists discovered that a fungus, Cladosporium sphaerospermum, thrives inside the Chernobyl reactor. This black fungus contains melanin, which absorbs radiation and converts it into energy for growth. Scientists are exploring the potential of fungal melanin to clean up radioactive waste or even serve as a protective layer in reactors. Synthetic melanins are also being developed for radiation shielding in space and for bioremediation of radioactive waste. While promising, such innovations require extensive research and testing. As SMRs become more prevalent, could radioactive fungi become our go-to defense against radiation, integrated into everything from clothing to sunscreen to our food? Closing reflection. As we stand at the crossroads of innovation and caution, nuclear energy offers undeniable potential to address our growing energy demands and climate goals. Yet, it also presents significant risks. Achieving sustainable energy solutions requires more than just technological progress. It demands a careful balance between innovation, environmental stewardship, and human health. The path forward requires rigorous oversight and open dialogue with communities most affected by these decisions. Humanity has always found ways to balance risks and rewards, pushing the boundaries of what is possible. And who knows, perhaps the next breakthrough is just around the corner, waiting to transform our energy journey. The question is, how can we strike the right balance? That is a conversation worth having. In part 2, we will explore renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, geothermal, hydropower, and biomass, examining both their promise and hurdles in the race for sustainable energy. Stay tuned as we uncover the future of clean energy. If you found this video insightful, please subscribe, like, and share to join our journey of learning and discovery. Happy learning! Thank you.